Hey everyone, welcome to Encore, and today we're going to talk about the new 40 color matte palette, which is called The Power of Matte from Inglot. Keep watching.
Hey everyone, it's Corin, and you're watching EnKoreMakeup. Blend, blend, blend.
Hi, Corin, stop using my lipstick.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So recently at the Makeup Show New York, Inglot, probably one of the most popular booths at the show, exhibited their new The Power of Matte palette. And there are two palettes. This is the bright palette, of course, and then there's a neutral palette. And each palette is part of their Freedom system. But these are set colors, but the pans are actually removable, so you can still customize this the way you wanted it in a palette. But when you buy it, it already comes preset with all the pans in it. So that's one less effort because you don't have to fill it and stuff. But you can also, again, move it around so you can customize the palette. Now, again, I'm not going to rave anymore about Inglot. Inglot is really, really notorious for their highly pigmented eyeshadows, of course. And, of course, the ability to customize colors for your palette. Now, one thing that many people complain about is the weight of the palette. Of course, this is a bigger palette, and this is actually their biggest palette to date. And of course, it's got a little bit more weight to it, which is good. I like heavier, palettes and stuff like that, because if they're light, I tend to drop them all the time, and a lot of people, if it's too heavy, of course, you drop it all the time. But for me, I kind of like the weight that this is giving me, and that applies to like brushes as well. I kind of like a little bit of weight on my brushes as opposed to like really lightweight brushes that you can almost like feel it, So I don't have any problem with the palette, and a lot of people do. Now, the cover on this is actually magnetic closure, okay, and you just slide the cover out, alright, and then it's going to expose the palette, of course, alright, so that's kind of good because you can actually see the colors with the lid on, alright, so you can tell if this is the bright palette and whatnot. Now, because they're just initially launching this and introducing this, they're still actually missing some colors, but for those who already bought the palettes at the show, they're going to get these colors eventually when they get them in stock, and that's not going to be additional cost to those who purchase the palette. Now, as far as the colors are concerned, again, they are all matte, 40 colors. You can still see me in the corner over here. Anyway, yeah, so 40 colors, all matte, so it's great for us who love matte. And I was originally told that the colors in this palette are not existing yet, that they're all new, but I found out by looking at my older palettes that some of them do exist. So not all of these are color. Now, originally Inglot has 17 matte colors in their collection, and those 17 are going to be in this palette as well as the other palette. And I'm going to point that out for you guys. But before we do that, again, I just want to go over the intensity of the colors, and I'm just going to very, very lightly swatch and look at how intense that is. Okay, so that's blue, here's yellow. We're going to do green. This is kind of like a dark green. So as you can see, the color payoff is intense. So that's one thing a lot of people like about this product. Now, another thing that a lot of people have issues with is that it tends to accumulate a lot of loose powder. Alright, but that's okay because you can manipulate that. Alright, if you're brushing your brush on this, it's going to, of course, scrape the surface and you're going to get those dry, loose powders. Now, if you work and press the brush in, working the colors and the products right into the brush, you're not going to get as much of those, okay? So there's a fine line between brushing to pick up the color, which is going to generate a lot of those loose powders, and also dabbing and picking up the color and working it in your bristle, as opposed to sweeping the product. Okay, so that's just the only thing. It's just a matter of how you pick up the product from the palette. Another thing that a lot of people have issues about is getting the pans out of the palette, because it is challenging. And even though most of the staff members or MAs at Inglot will tell you to use the lid because of the magnets on the corners to try to lift the palette like that, sometimes it's giving a good fight, alright? But that is exactly, as you see, alright, is how you take the pans out, alright? And I tried before to kind of scoop it out with like a toothpick or my you know, spatula or whatever, and I end up putting dings and scratches and stuff like that on the eyeshadow, which is kind of, you know, annoying. Now, like I said, some of them, or actually most of them, are not going to do that trick, okay? Sometimes it's going to be harder to get the pans out, you know, depending on which eyeshadow and how attached they are to the palette. So what I do is I actually have some leftover magnets, and I actually just put this on top of the color, and it lifts it because there are 4 strong magnets that lifts the palette, and it comes out really, really easily. So probably most likely I'm going to make kind of like a craft project or something, making kind of like, you know, a tile that would pick up the pans for this, because I have so many Inglot eyeshadows now that I think it's time to make something that's going to lift these pans easier than the lid would. Like I said, you know, that's usually how they instruct you to get the pans out, is using the lid. Now let's talk about the colors in this palette that Inglot previously already have in their collection, which means there are 17 colors in their previous matte collection. That's also part of this palette. Will actually split between this palette and the neutral palette. So for this palette, this green right here, which is number 384, is from their original, so that's kind of like a repeat in this palette. Now 372, there's kind of like a teal color right here, and that's also part of the original colors, which is added onto this palette. Number 371, this turquoise right here, is from the original color, and I actually did an eye look on this, you know, the yellow and turquoise eye look. That's the turquoise that I used. Number 388, which is this color right here, kind of like an indigo color, is a repeat. Okay, so that's already existing. Number 379, which is this kind of a lavender color right here. Okay, number 362, which is this rose color right here. Number 366, which is an orangey red right here. And then the red, number 382, that was already existing. And then finally number 392, which is this color right here. Okay, so those are the only colors that are in this 40 color palette that's previously you know, existed in their line. So definitely look into the new 40 color Power of Matte palette from Inglot when they launch. They are not officially publicly launched yet, but they will eventually soon, within a couple of weeks or so. So make sure to keep an eye on my blog site, because I'm going to be announcing it there. And I'm also going to be adding it to the more info section of this video once they announce that they are publicly available at their stores or at their website. So again, thanks a lot for joining me. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.